Hello, everyone. Kelly here. And today I'm so excited to have Jacqueline Fernari with me. Jackie and I are going to be talking about how she overcame fear and found fulfillment in taking her career in music full time and making a lot of life changes in the process. So I'm really excited to have you tell the full story, Jackie. Why don't you introduce yourself and your studio a little bit, as well as everything you're doing in music?
Oh, goodness. Okay, so I'm Jackie Fernari. I have the Fernari Flute Studio, which I just turned into a business last June. So it is officially registered as a business. I also am a freelance musician, so I perform as well. I just took my studio full time in June, but before that, I was actually a graduate gemologist, and I had done that for 25 years in the jewelry industry. Great career, lots of fun. Industry's changed a lot with the internet, so
Mm.
it just became less and less rewarding. And I was finding myself sitting and doing 2 hours of work, but having to sit there for 8 hours and not really doing too much of anything else. So I loved the music and I really wanted to do more students and more performing, but there just wasn't any time in a day when I was
Mm.
sitting at the jewelry store for that many hours. So I decided to make the decision to just leave the jewelry store behind, the secure job, and take the plunge into a full-time teaching studio and music career. There's been some lumps and bumps along the way. Like the week after I quit the jewelry store, I got into a major car accident that totaled my car, which was pretty devastating, kind of delayed everything for about 3 weeks, but I had a
Mhm.
great support system. Everybody helped me through it. I survived the summer, and my studio's just been growing ever since.
Mm. You overcame so much and all that, and we're absolutely going to talk about the whole process and journey today. But I want to back up to kind of like March and April when we had first met and we're talking about working together and you joined
Mm.
the solo program. At that point in the studio, as you said, you'd been working in music. You had a music career. You were performing at that time. You were teaching about 12 students. You had a really solid foundation. What at that point was keeping you from leaving the job? Why were we were balancing everything at that point?
Well, I actually have a house and a car and I have bills and I totally support myself. So I
Yeah.
thought that I needed that extra income as a safety net because that actually did pay my regular bills, my mortgage, my car payment, and things like that. And I didn't know if it was possible. I kept running the numbers and thinking, oh my God, I have to make this much money in order
Mm.
to do this. And then I have to pay for my own insurance and all of this. But one major thing happened. My daughter graduated with her master's. She's also a flutist. She met a boy and fell in love and moved to South Carolina with him. So she is never coming back to Michigan. So I decided that I needed to make plans within the next
Mm.
5 years to be able to move to South Carolina with her. So I knew that if I stayed in the jewelry business, I wasn't going to get ahead financially. I wasn't fulfilled. I woke up with anxiety every morning when I had to go to the jewelry store just because I knew I was going to waste my whole day when I could be doing other
Mm.
things. And I just decided it was just time to live the life that I've wanted to live and get ready to retire to South Carolina. So that
I
was
love
the
that.
true reason why I did
Yeah,
this. Hmm.
absolutely. And when having that inspiration, as we were talking about a moment ago, the anxiety and the fear are so real. I mean, we're talking about making a massive life change, taking a big risk. I mean, it would be a risk no matter what, but it also feels like we're almost taking a chance on ourselves a little bit. And there has to be a lot of self belief and that. So having the support that you had mentioned before of your daughter and family and your friends that are supporting you in this journey as well is so important. But also having that self belief that you have done this for a long time, as you said before. You have a lot of connections in the area because we have been playing and teaching in the area for a long time. Knowing that we can leverage those and make the right changes and make an impact in a positive way in your career is so important. You talked about this fear that we had, part of the anxiety in going to the jewelry store, but also fear that maybe longer term had held us back from making any leaps as well. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, the area where I live is so I'm a flutist. The area is very heavily populated with flutists. We have the Detroit
Mm.
Symphony with the amazing flutists, and they go out into the community. They don't necessarily have studios, but then there's I swear there must be 25 flute teachers in my area.
Oh my
In the
God.
two
Yeah.
main counties that I teach in, some are
Wow.
better than others, obviously. So you have to figure out how to create the reputation, or you set your own agenda, because I'm a different kind of teacher than other teachers are.
Hmm.
So you have to kind of figure out a way to get that to be known. And I guess I am, because I had a student that called me in December and she said she was looking for a flute teacher in the area, and she put it out on one of the moms' Facebook groups in the county I live in. And she said everybody that came back with a recommendation for a teacher had your name on it.
Oh my
She said, so
gosh.
how could I, ignore that, when she said there were about 8 parents that had my name on it from
Wow.
former students. So
That's amazing.
I guess I've done what I set out to do without really knowing it. So people know me for, always being there, giving my kids a lot of things to do, only requiring the highest level of performance. I don't accept, mediocrity. Um, and trying to compete sometimes with the music stores who have music generalists who try to
Right.
teach every instrument. And there are some doublers who are absolutely amazing on every instrument they
Hmm.
teach, but not at the music stores around here. So I've been getting students where I have to undo problems that were created because the parents paid money to take lessons at a music store. And so trying to get that message out that for flute especially, you really do need a specialist, because there's so many problems that you can create. So I
Absolutely.
guess that's how. And then having Cranbrook on my resume now and on my website really has given a lot of people a lot of confidence, because they know I've gone through that tremendous vetting process to even be on the faculty there. So they also know that I can be trusted with their kids.
Absolutely. So that's part of your studio and that's part of your teaching also, is that you are working with several area schools as a specialist too, and coming in and supporting them. And you,
Mm-hmm.
as we talked about this morning before we hit record, you do have a lot of these connections. And when we back up to last spring, you had been working for years to establish these connections and to make sure you were
Mm-hmm.
known as that person in your
Yeah.
community. But also now all of a sudden the studio has doubled in size. So what do you feel you've done differently in the last few months that has helped to spark that momentum in growing the studio and getting more referrals from those sources you previously knew?
So I think I have a better attitude. I'm happier. And I don't make excuses, I'm just happier.
Mm,
Everything is just falling into place, and I think it's just an attitude change that has really done it, because I think, you
nice.
project that, because before it
Mm,
was kind of like, oh, I'm okay, but it didn't really seem like it, and now I truly am happier. So I don't think it's any specific thing that I changed except that, you know.
well, the mindset piece of it is so real, though. I
Mhm.
saw this video last week that really resonated with me, and it's coming to mind as you're talking about this. That we all kind of have like an energy thumbprint, and what we're giving off, it's so unique, right? Every person you pass on the street, you get a different vibe from.
Mhm.
And this video was talking about how sometimes, and this might be kind of a weird way of framing it, but sometimes your energy can kind of be like an energetic BO. Like you could have like a negative energy that you're giving off, and it's
Mhm.
not something that you're totally aware of. Like you don't know you stink, but everyone around you
Mhm.
knows you stink, kind
Exactly.
of a thing.
Mhm.
And sometimes that can come from like a lack of fulfillment, which is something that I know we're going to talk about today too, but it can also come from like frustration that you're feeling, or little tiny fears that are in the back of your mind, that when you talk to someone or you go into a school, there might be just that little wall that's up somehow and we're not even aware of it. And so
Mhm.
being able to take that down and be your wonderful authentic self means those relationships are stronger, and people perceive you in a different way. They're more excited to work with you, they're more excited to bring you in, and sometimes we can leverage those relationships better as a result. Do you feel like that's sort of been the experience in letting some of those walls down?
I really do, because now I'm
Mm.
happy. I wake up in the morning and I'm excited to, tackle my list of projects that I have to do. The gloomy weather kind of, interferes with that a little bit, but
Yeah.
I've noticed, especially because I've been starting a lot of beginners this year. And beginners are totally different. I mean, you have to be up
Mm.
all the time and have projects and have a lot of fun. And I go into this one school and I have 5 beginners in one class. Okay, it's hard enough to teach one beginner how to play flute, but I have 5. And after about 3 or 4 visits of mine, they said, "Oh, we want you to come in every week. Our hour passes by so fast, and we have so much fun." So that there too kind of made me realize, finally, I this is who I'm
Mm.
supposed to be. I'm having fun too.
Mm.
Hmm.
It almost feels like stepping in. I did another interview with a client this week where she said it feels like stepping into the version of myself that I always knew I could be, but I never could quite reach. And that's sort of what I'm hearing you say too, is like
Hmm.
you always knew you had it in you. Like this was a vision that you had been thinking about for a long time, and we made some
Hmm.
teeny tiny little tweaks to mindset, maybe even to strategy and how you're approaching things, and then all of a sudden it just blows up because this was what you were always meant for. It was meant to be in your life. The passion was always there.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh, that's
But the thing
awesome.
is, too, is you really need support when you're doing this. And that's why
Mm.
I came to you, because I had all the basics. Because I've taken other coaching classes that have given me definitely really great information. But I knew in order to take my studio full time, I needed some other kind of support.
Mm.
So that really helped me a lot. If I didn't know exactly how to do something or wanted to see if I was doing it right, I just went to a video and I'd find out so much more information. And then having Isaac review my website and working on letters to it's just so great to have a different set of eyes. So the support and the training and the advice and all of that has been invaluable as well.
Oh, I really appreciate that. And it's been so exciting to see you take all those resources and just run with it. And obviously in solo it's meant to be a self-paced program, which we knew from
Hmm.
the beginning was a really good fit because again, you had those fundamentals. We were just looking at these tiny refinements. You didn't need you didn't need the accountability. You were going to do it no matter what. We just needed a little bit
Hmm.
of extra support in that. So when we look at the journey, maybe if we can talk about the program for a second, what do you think specifically? You talked about the website review and things, but what resources do you think maybe helps to make this go a little bit faster for you?
So I know the letters that you provided that we could send out to the band directors, that really helped. I did get response from that, and I emailed all the band directors that I had been emailing over the years. And no, I
Mm,
haven't gone into all of those schools to do classes, but they have referred students to me,
amazing.
which is nice. So that was a big help. Also, I wish I could come to more of the meetups now, but I'm too busy now. But coming to the meetups and hearing how everybody else is working from the beginning of their career and knowing that I've been through all of this. So I could actually give some of them some advice too and some
Yes.
encouragement as to what to do. And that's been a great process too, knowing that, yeah, I kind of am doing the right thing. I have to have confidence that I am, and I know who to go to if I'm stuck
Mm.
on something.
Having the community around it, this is one of my favorite parts about solo and all of our programs is that you're not just going it alone. And so sometimes we get on those calls
Hmm.
and yes, like you would give advice and chime in on what other people are doing, which builds your own self-confidence. And then also you hear something a little bit different, or someone explains something in a slightly different way, or
Hmm.
they say something that you can commiserate with. And it just feels so good to not be
Hmm.
operating your own solo business totally in your own lane. Other people are going through that too, or other people are going through what you have gone through in that shared experience. At least
Yeah.
on my side, I see that as just such a wonderful aspect of the entire thing, that we're not totally solopreneurs. We can have some support in that too.
Well, you just definitely have to. Like, I know my daughter is doing the same thing.
Mhm.
She started her studio in South Carolina, and she's listened to your talks before because she was at the school when you came. And she just thought that was awesome. But it's fun to talk to her about different things too, because she's in a different point than I am.
Yeah.
So we can, throw things back and forth and talk about that as well. So it's kind of weird that she's doing exactly what I should have been doing from the beginning, but she's doing it from the beginning. So I'm glad that I was able to inspire her as well to
Yes.
do what she truly needed to do and give her the confidence that it's okay. She will make it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in making this transition, I know we talked about some of the hiccups that you had and some of the frustrations that we ran into. And it sounds like this confidence and knowing where we're going and having these clear goals in mind has really helped you to overcome that. But is there anything else that you think has made an impact in, for example, leaving the job and then a week later having a horrible car accident, finding the resolve to keep going, to stick to your goals and to not fall back on something that maybe was a little bit more comfortable in the store, the jewelry store job? That's hard to do. How do you think you worked through that? What do you think really kept you moving forward in this process?
Well, it really was a lot of self reflection because I knew
Mm,
that I was no longer happy in the jewelry industry. I had just done it for so many years. It changed so much according to the internet. Everybody thinks they're an expert. So I am a
mm,
graduate gemologist. I have the right training through the Gemological Institute of America, and I've been doing it for 25 years. So no
mm,
customer who sits in front of me is an expert, yet they go on the internet and they think they do. So that was
right.
just really frustrating me because, you get so much wrong information on the internet and then you sound stupid. And I can't tell a customer they're stupid because they're doing this.
Yeah,
And so
that's a no-no.
it was getting really, really frustrating. And then I was
Oh, I'm
in a
sure.
small business, and the owner was doing things, handwriting receipts and everything. And I created a
Mm,
database because I'm an appraiser too. So I created a database on the computer where everything was digital. And I did appraisals on every single stock item that was in the cases. You bring me a piece of jewelry, I can identify it, tell you everything about it. But he was so backwards in the way that the
mm,
business was being run, nothing was moving forward. And
mm.
so there was no business. I'm sitting there for 8 hours a day and I have 2 hours worth of work. So I was very unhappy. And I knew that I had to do something because I'm too old to not be happy. I'm approaching.
You deserve
I'll
it.
never retire as a
Absolutely.
musician. You don't have to retire as a musician. My brother said to me, he said, even if you can't play, you can still teach, right? I said, yeah, I'm going to teach till the day I die. um, but it was that. I just was not
Mm,
happy anymore. And so I sat down and figured out, what am I really happy doing? Well, I started playing with an orchestra last year and I loved it. And they loved
mm,
me because we played Tchaik 4 and I got the piccolo solo. And so that kind of solidified my position in the orchestra. So I knew that I was playing. So what was my dream when I was a kid? I wanted to be the principal flute
mm,
of the Detroit Symphony. Things happen in life and that doesn't happen. But right now, even though the orchestra I'm in isn't the DSO, I'm still playing in an orchestra full time. I've got a full teaching studio. I'm asked to play gigs, and I'm doing exactly what that little girl wanted to do. And thinking about that is what made me happy, and knowing I would not accomplish those goals if I stayed at the jewelry store and was bored 8 hours a day.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, Jackie. It makes me so happy to see you in this place finally. And it feels like, even as we were talking this morning, it feels like we've just arrived. Like you have come into that goal and you've stepped into that reality that you've always wanted and also that you created for yourself. No one else gave this to you. You worked so
Oh,
hard to
yeah.
make this happen.
Yeah.
And it's just so amazing to see you here now. It's awesome. I'm wondering if there was a piece of advice or two that you might give past Jackie, maybe Jackie in March, but then even maybe younger Jackie, maybe even some advice
hmm
that you shared with your daughter throughout the process. What would you want past you to know?
I know fear is definitely something when you're approaching something new, but you have to try
Mm,
something new all the time, even if it fails. I've done things in the past year that have not worked out, but did it hurt me? No, it just taught me a lesson. So if you can think of it and you can find a path to do it, attempt it.
mm,
Don't be so afraid that you don't try something new, and
I
always
love
go
that.
forward with what you know is going to make you happy. I've always known that music was what I needed to do. It's really funny. I had my hair cut a couple weeks ago, and my hairstylist has known me for my whole life. And he said, I never knew why you didn't stay in music. You were meant to be a musician. So he said, I'm so proud of you for finally doing it.
Oh
Yeah.
my
So people
gosh.
my family never supported me. So I had outside support to continue in music. So everything was,
Mm,
yeah, really done on my own.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh my
So,
gosh.
fear, do not let fear stop you. There's a way around fear. You can always find the path around it. If cold calling is a fear, which I had to do in the jewelry business, find a way
Mm.
around it. Find a reason to call that's not a cold call. So, with music, approach those band directors. Send a video recording of you talking so they can actually see who you are and not just see what you write down on paper. But think of different things outside the box that will get you noticed without being too pushy and aggressive.
I like that little plug. Thank you.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Our nice little music puns. I love it. But
Yeah.
you have worked so hard for this, and I think one thing that I find so inspirational about your story is that in I mean, we're talking about the fear, but also in adversity, pushing through and deciding to do it anyway.
Mhm.
And leaving the secure job, having challenges come up, having we were talking about the car accident, that was weeks of work and stress that you had to find another car and go through the insurance process and overcome any physical discomfort and things that were happening from that too. There were so many things that could have sidetracked that, even just in the last year,
Mhm.
not even looking at a lifetime of work in music and all the things that you've overcome too. So I'm just so excited for you. I'm so proud of you. It's well deserved that we're here. And I agree with your hairstylist. This is where you were meant to be.
Yeah, I know it's
Oh,
funny
that's
that
so
it comes from a
sweet.
hairstylist, right?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes they know us best though. We spend just a little time
Oh,
in their chair.
yes, I know, right?
Oh, too funny. Oh my gosh. Well, Jackie, I really appreciate your time and you sharing your story and your journey today. One maybe final question as we kind of wrap up. If anyone's on the fence right now and they're looking at any of our programming and trying to decide if this is a fit for them, if this would be helpful
Mhm.
for them, what do you think someone should be looking for? What might make them a good fit for this program to kind of uh, maybe help them decide either way?
This program, like you said, is self-directed, and this was perfect for me because I already basically had a studio set up and I had everything in place that you talk about, but this helped me refine everything and just
Mm.
make everything sound better, more approachable, easier, all of that. So this is a great program for that. Plus, you have the community that you can talk to. You're always available for specific advice. So this program is really great for that. However, I do have to say, if somebody is literally just starting out and they've never had an entrepreneurial class ever, they should take your other program because they need to learn all of those things. They need to learn how to start it from the ground up.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you
but
for
the
that.
advice
I
that you
appreciate
give
it.
is so practical and so approachable and so easy to understand that it was a great investment for me.
Thank you so much. I've so enjoyed
Mhm.
working with you. I so enjoy our continued work together. So again, I really appreciate your time and your energy today. Thank you very much for sharing.
Oh, thank you.